Hey, Dave Parkinson, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you pretty good.
Excellent.
Good deal.
Thank you for letting me.
So he's not being here tonight at all.
Right. And Mr. Parkinson, before we get started, you may want to put it on mute, or if you can mute Dave, just until we get to the engineer's report. All right, welcome to the regular City Council meeting. It is January 5th, the first meeting of 2022. It's 6:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Please do a roll call. Do we need to do roll call first?
Yeah. No.
Okay. Let's do a quick roll call.
Joe St. John.
Here.
David Capel.
Here.
Tim Jones.
Here.
David Martin.
Here.
Cindy Booth. Here. Bob Ray.
All right. And we're going to start by swearing in the newly elected officials. We have 4 elected officials. 2 are 4-year terms and 2 are 2-year terms. I think
Everyone but Tim.
everybody but Tim. Tim, hold the fort down while we're all out here.
Take a break, Tim.
We've never had one quite like this before. That means we can call him the old timer.
Yeah.
We're not gonna go to a forum with one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so the oaths are identical, but you're the mayor, you are the council people, right? So I will say council person, mayor.
Got it.
You will repeat that way, that we'll have to do it twice if you're okay with that.
Yeah,
All
perfect.
right. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Joe Martin,
Do hereby solemnly swear.
do hereby solemnly swear
Or affirm. That I will.
That I will,
In my position as mayor council person.
as in my position as council member
For the city of Sunbury.
for the city of Sunbury,
Support the Constitution of the United States.
support the Constitution of the United States,
The Constitution of the state of Ohio.
the Constitution of the state of Ohio,
The ordinances of the city of Sunbury.
the ordinances of the city of Sunbury,
And that I will not.
and
that I will not
Be influenced.
be influenced
By any consideration.
by any consideration
Except that.
except that
Of merit and fitness.
of merit and fitness
In the appointment or discharge.
in the appointment or discharge
Of city employees.
of city employees,
And that I shall not make.
and
and I shall not make
Or authorize.
or authorize
The expenditure of public money.
the expenditure of public money
Otherwise than for adequate consideration.
otherwise than for adequate consideration
And efficient service.
and efficient service
To the city of Sunbury.
to the city of Sunbury,
And that I will faithfully.
and
that I will faithfully,
Honestly.
honestly,
And impartially.
and impartially
Discharge the duties of the office.
discharge the duties of the office
Of mayor council person.
of council person
To which I have been elected.
to which I have been elected.
Congratulations to all.
thank you.
Thank you.
I do have.
The first time you said council person, I said council member. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
You're out.
If you can
Technicality.
sign this, I think these are right, but double check some differing terms that we have for each of you. Oops.
There we go. Thank you.
Right.
And while we're wrapping this up, I know we do have a few folks in the audience. We are going to get to the to executive session. We'll most likely invite the 3 of you into that executive session. And that would be in probably about 20 minutes if we can kind of fly through this. Sound good? Right. All right. Congratulations, Tim.
Same.
Good job holding down the office while we were out.
2.5 minutes.
4 days. No.
Are we on? We are on to the election of President Pro Tem for 2022. Again, per our charter, this is a 2-year appointment. Are there any?
I would like to nominate Tim Ghost.
Okay, we have a nomination for Tim Ghost by Mr.
Second.
Martin, and we have a second by Mr. Capel.
Thank you.
Are there any other nominations? Discussion? Roll call.
Dave Martin,
Yes.
David Campbell,
Yes.
Tim Goes,
Yes.
Joe St. John,
Yes,
Cindy Cooper,
Yes.
5 present.
congratulations, Tim.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. I'll do my very best.
Figured you deserved at least a full year, right, Tim?
Yes. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to do a yay on that or not, or abstain,
Oh,
but
sure. Yeah, absolutely. Township trustees do it all the time. So, we're on to council rules. And anybody like to make a suggestion to amend council rules? With that said, you can always make changes to council rules throughout the year, but it's, in my experience, been rare, and most of the activities are governed by the charter. With that said,
So is what you handed out to us tonight included in this, what we're about to vote on?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Kathy just went and got it. I've not seen it.
It's the same one, it's the one with the modified code rules in it that we amended on March 17th.
And did we substitute village for city where appropriate?
No, so I would fix that and.
So I would say that we would at least want to update everywhere it says village, we would want to change that to city of Sunbury.
Okay, so we can make that part of the motion.
So you can make that part of the motion.
All right.
And again, these are your council rules. I mean, they're for your governance. You can change them by majority vote at any meeting. But by the charter, we're supposed to enact rules this evening to the extent, you're comfortable with what we've had. We have made tweaks to it now and again.
Yeah.
And we can do it again. After tonight, you may have a couple more people hopefully up there. So you can always look at it later, but if you want to move it with the change, the appropriate change from village to city, we could at least get something approved tonight.
So I'll make the motion that we approve the Sunbury Rules of Council of 2021 with the change from village to city where appropriate.
It'll actually be these rules will be the 2022.
So, yeah, I meant 2022 now.
Amazing how many times I've made that mistake.
I'll second his
got a motion
motion.
by David Martin on amended rules for 2022.
I'll second.
Second by Cindy Cooper. Discussion. Roll call.
Dave Martin.
Yes.
Cindy Cooper.
Yes.
Joe St. John.
Yes.
Tim Goes,
yes.
David Campbell,
Yes.
5 present.
And I wanted to interject just two pieces before we get to the minutes. One is state of the city. I plan to do that at our next meeting. I would like to have the committee chairs potentially take a minute or two to discuss activities that took place in last year's committee, highlight, wins, opportunities for improvement. On top of that, I can coordinate with the chairs of those particular committees.
Except the committee chairs won't be determined by then.
True. I guess this would be more of
Last
a,
year.
I'll say a
Last year's, yeah.
recap of last year.
Okay.
And I think we have this problem every year because, by your rules, the president pro tem appoints the committees. It's always very awkward because he just was appointed.
Yeah.
Potentially it could even be a new person, to even shuffle the committees at all. So we do have a provision in the rules that they will continue. The same committees will continue until the new appointments are made. So I would say that these reports would be given by
Okay.
chairs from the.
All right. Thank you.
And we have until the end of this month to form the new committees, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And you can form new committees at any time.
Right.
Yeah.
But you hope, Mr. Ghost, to have the new committees, I assume, before the first zoning meeting.
Yes. Yeah, I hope to have them in place in 2 weeks at our next meeting.
Okay.
And between now and then, I'll communicate with all of you to make sure with what I have in mind is similar to what you're thinking.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Great. And I hit my 2 points. So one was the state of the city, also by the former committee chair, and also committee assignments going forward for 2022. All right. We do have a meeting on December 29th. Is there a motion for approval for the minutes? I'd like to make that motion for approval, December 29th minutes.
I'll second.
Second by David Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Joe St. John.
Yes.
David Campbell.
Yes.
Tim Rhodes.
Yes.
Steve Cooper.
Yes.
David Mark.
Yes.
Do we have any visitors that would like to speak at this point? Okay. All right, I'm going to skip committee reports because I don't believe we had any committees meet within the past week. I'm going to give just a really quick recap on the police report. I talked to the chief. All things considered, the new high school opening this week, traffic is going about as good as it could. If you ever drove through this neck of the woods around 7:20 to 7:40, when the high school was in session, you knew the impact of the traffic, both on 36, 37, right here on Columbus Street. That has now transitioned to the new high school. I did drive through the traffic, kind of right through the eye of the storm on opening day. I'll tell you, like, the choice to put a police officer running the controller at Cherry Street and Miller was a perfect idea. I think it's going as great as it could. I do know there have been instances where people are saying, they're missing a light cycle or something, but I can tell you the officer is prioritizing the most critical issue at the time. And that would be backing up past the fire department, causing significant congestion in front of McDonald's, Wendy's, right there at that pinch point. I got trained on this thing. It's not as intuitive. You aren't like selecting, hey, I want option 1, 2, 3, 4. It's click a button and go through the entire cycle, no matter what. So the turn signals you'll find, sometimes are activated for a second, and then it goes to the next one because he's like, that's not the priority right now. So it's very subjective. Definitely takes training to do, but I think it's going great. The high school traffic is backing down into Miller Drive on the way into the school. Based on the data that we've gotten so far from the radar signs, I think we have 2 or 3 radar signs on Miller Drive right now. During school drop off and pickup for the high school, I think the highest speed that we saw was 35 miles per hour. I think it'd be hard to go any faster than that going northbound on Miller Drive, given the amount of traffic that you're reaching. And
Yeah.
Tim, if you've been out there in the morning, your street was actually blocked on the initial day.
I was there on that initial day, right about 7:20.
Right.
And I was 3 cars back.
Right.
From Prairie Run, wanting to turn left out.
Right.
On the Miller, and it was all the way backed up. And that's kind of what I've seen on the Facebook site for our area, but nobody was really all uptight about it. They expect it.
Right.
And hope that it works itself out.
Right. A couple things that are huge wins as well. Kinder Parkway, I drove up that way, kind of the back way around. Literally, like, no cars, just buses, which is great. I didn't see any pedestrians on Kinder Parkway.
That's by design, right?
It's by design. The other thing I'll say is, I did talk to a school administration official at the end of school on Tuesday. And I think the idea is that we're going to give this a 30-day run, let everybody kind of figure out the time in transits, including parents and kids that are dropping off their students, get into a little bit of a groove, and do a post-mortem, first thing in February, where we review what worked, what didn't work, what tweaks we can make, all in the spirit that we're going to work together to keep our residents and students safe. So that is the latest update on that. And then I believe we're still working on scheduling the county drone preview for later this month. I'm hoping it for the next meeting, if not early February. That's all I have at this point. Steve, we're on to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. 30 seconds. Wastewater, we're up 1 employee, started an employee at the beginning of the year. We're still down 1, and we've identified 3 decent candidates for interview. And services have, over the Christmas break for the school, they were able to relocate all the wayfinding signs and add some wayfinding signs based upon what the school requested. And they've been working on getting Christmas lights down. And answer any questions you might have.
So I've done some cold patch around.
Yep.
I assume that's our crew that's doing that.
That's our crew of cold patchers, yes.
Okay. Thanks for doing that.
I had a question just about, I had called you, but we haven't had a chance to connect just about the BZA. And I was just curious, like, is that, but per our charter, is that supposed to be set up by a specific time, or that's just something that we're working on?
You go ahead and take it.
I think the second meeting in January will have us late for the BZA and probably for the personnel committee. We've been
And how many are
recruiting,
on the BZA?
6, I believe.
And it's no council, right?
No, cannot be a council.
That's what I thought. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Personnel board's 3.
Thanks.
There was no time frame in the charter for implementation.
I didn't think so, so I was wondering, just, I'm hearing BZA here and there, so I was just wondering where we were at with that.
How many members do we have? Do we have 6?
I believe we're a full slate now.
Yeah.
We're good. It's good having interested people.
Yes.
Anything else, Steve?
No.
Thank you very much. Can we unmute Dave Parkinson? He's visiting remotely from the town square during the summer months.
Thank you,
Sir?
Mayor. In interest of brevity, I uploaded a standard engineer's report earlier this week. It's a slow time for us, not a lot going on. Just be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Mr. Parkinson? Right, thank you very much, Mr. Parkinson.
Thank you.
All right, we are on to resolutions. Third reading, 0. Second reading, resolution 2021.19, a resolution approving the execution of a grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and declaring an emergency.
We're okay with going one more reading on it.
Sounds good. Thank you. No first readings, and we're on to ordinances. Ordinance number 2021.49. We talked about how long that could actually remain tabled. We believe it can go out to February 20th. We believe, based on council rules, it can go out 4 months from the time it was tabled. We understand that it was tabled on October 20th.
Oh, good, okay, good to know.
Okay.
So we'll keep an eye on that. We may go slightly beyond that date. That, that's a rezoning ordinance, and we're looking to do a new community authority in relationship with that development. And that's a pretty complex set of documents. We're working through those, but, hopefully have something for you on that soon.
If we would need additional time on a tabled amendment, does it have to go back, or can we suspend the rules for that?
Again, they're your council rules that said it should be there for 4 months. To the extent you say, we understand why in this case it is, we're going to extend the time 2 additional months, you can certainly do that. It's just to set at least some expectation that you just don't put something on the table and leave it there indefinitely.
So if I understood the question, do we need to take it off the table and then put it on the table again?
No, even for your current rules, it's good through February, second meeting in February. So we're in good shape tonight.
All right. And you think we'll have what we're looking for by then?
We'll definitely have we're hopeful to have something for you next meeting, but there's a process involved with where we go from having something to you to the finish line. I'm thinking that process might last into the beginning of March is where we're forecasting at this point, but stay tuned.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're on to ordinance number 2021.60, an ordinance approving the construction improvement plan sets for street, storm, water, and lighting and sanitary sewer improvements for Price Ponds, Section 1.
In front of you tonight is a revised version of that ordinance. In consultation with our engineer who's on to answer any specific questions tonight that you might have about this. We still want to improve these construction plans, but we're drawing a specific exception to the area that's known as the Legacy Park. That's where the trees were removed, and you had talked about that. We want to take a further hard dive into the construction improvement plans for that specific area that's going to be turned over to the village. But the developer does really want to get busy on this. These construction improvement plans are for this whole area. they are, the sewers installed. We have debt obligations that we're going to need to issue. We've got special assessments that pay for those debt obligations. So we are under a time crunch to keep this project moving forward. As you know, we were slightly delayed on that lift station based upon the problem with the alignment and so forth of the pipe. So we are a little bit behind the 8 ball. So what this revised version does is two things. It adds the emergency language, and it adds a special caveat in section 1 that you're approving the storm or street storm, water and lighting plan, except that the approval does not include the multi-use trail north of Millstone Drive that extends within the area to be dedicated to the city of Sunbury and shown on the plans as Reserve 1. So those are the amendments. What I'd like to have is a motion to approve the changes to the ordinance first.
And I'll make that motion.
Motion by Dave Martin,
Second.
second by David Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Dave Martin,
Yes.
David Capel.
Yes.
Tim Rose,
Yes.
Joe St. John.
Yes.
Cindy Cooper,
Yes.
5 yeas.
Staff is requesting that you act on this tonight. It'd be a second reading, or excuse me,
It's
the
the
third reading, so we don't need to suspend the rules, but we do need a motion on the emergency.
I'll make a motion on the emergency. Yes. There we go.
I'll
Emergency.
second.
Second by Cindy Cooper. Discussion. Roll call.
Joe St. John,
Yes.
Cindy Cooper,
Yes.
David Martin,
Yes.
Tim Rose.
Yes.
David Capel,
Yes.
5 yeas.
I'd like to make a motion on ordinance 2021.60.
I'll second.
A second by Cindy Cooper. I wanted to add just a little bit more flavor. I went out and walked this area yesterday, where the trees were removed, where the path is supposed to go. I noticed a very significant amount of water that was coming down. Granted, we had pretty significant rain recently, but I wanted to make sure that we are all in lockstep. Pulte, EMH&T, who's the engineer for Pulte, CT Consultants, and us. And when I say in lockstep, we are all going to walk that path together. We're going to line out where it's going to go, and we're going to make sure that the water drains appropriately so we don't kill any additional trees. And we're going to make sure that there's culverts installed where needed so it runs underneath the path. You may recall that General Rosecrans Elementary, where we had to kind of saw cut pavement out and put a drainage system in because some old hickories died in a particular swampy area in the middle of GRE woods. We're not going to let that happen again. So that's why we're carving out the section here in section 1. And I had a chance to speak to Pulte Land Development Director earlier today, and Mr. Parkinson and myself jumped on a call figuring out how we could make that happen without delaying their progress, and everybody's in agreement. So thank you for your support on this discussion. Roll call.
Joe St. John,
Yes.
Cindy Cooper.
Yes.
David Martin,
Yes.
Tim Rose.
Yes.
David Capel,
Yes.
5 yeas.
All right, we're on to ordinance number 2021.61, an ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various components codes of the codified ordinances of Sunbury, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. We're on to a third reading here.
Motion on the emergency.
I'll make a motion on the emergency.
I'll second.
Second by Tim Goes. Discussion. Roll call.
Joe St. John,
Yes.
Tim Rose.
Yes.
David Capel.
Yes.
Cindy Cooper,
Yes.
David Martin,
Yes.
5 yeas.
I'd like to make a motion on ordinance 2021.61.
I'll second.
Second by Tim Goes. Discussion. Roll call.
Joe St. John.
Yes.
Tim Rose.
Yes.
David Capel.
Yes.
Cindy Cooper.
Yes.
David Martin,
Yes.
5 yeas.
All right, there are no second readings. There is a first reading of ordinance number 2022.02, an ordinance providing for the employment of Daryl Hennessy as the Assistant City Administrator, authorizing the city administrator to execute an employment contract, declaring an emergency. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Second by David Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Joe St. John.
Yes.
David Capel.
Yes.
Tim Rose.
Yes.
Cindy Cooper.
Yes.
David Martin,
Yes.
5 yeas.
I'll make a motion on the emergency ordinance number 2022.02.
Second.
Second by Damon Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Joe St. John.
Yes.
David Capel.
Yes.
Tim Rose.
Yes.
Cindy Cooper.
Yes.
David Martin,
Yes.
5 yeas.
I'd like to make a motion on ordinance number 2022.02.
Second.
Second by Damon Capel. Discussion. Roll call. Yes.
David Capel.
Yes.
Tim Rose.
Yes.
Cindy Cooper.
Yes.
David Martin,
Yes.
5 yeas.
All right, we're on to new and unfinished business. I'm going to go around the horn real quick with this group. Mrs. Cooper,
Nothing's right.
Mr. Martin,
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Kaplan,
Nothing here.
Mr. Gibbs.
I did have one item under the committee report section. I just remembered that we did have a fire board meeting last week.
Okay.
It was very brief. I think they said it was the shortest one I've ever had, less than 3 minutes. And it was simply to okay the approval of the budgeting, the appropriations for this year. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Gose. And also under new business, I wanted to hit on really quick. Some of your residents who may be friends with folks that are in Berkshire Township, they had a township trustee opening. The trustee who did not run this most recent election cycle, Josh Farble, was moving. He resigned effective January 1st. They do have an opening per township law. They need to fill by the end of the month. I believe Josh Farble was the previous fire board member, if I'm not mistaken, Tim Gose.
Yes,
From
that's correct.
Berkshire.
Yes.
So I know a couple school board members reached out to me just about that, and I spoke to Kevin Vaughn, and it sounds like it's a good move for Josh Farble. But as we know, backfilling elected positions, it's a difficult thing to do, and wish him the best. Right. All right, with that said, we are going to go into executive session per Ohio Revised Code 121.22G1. I guess I need to make a motion to go into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second by Mr. Gose. I'd like to invite Mrs. Belcher, Mr. Piles, Mr. Breen, Mr. Elliott, Mr. Grumney, and Mr. Murray Neff to stay with us during that executive session. That said, any other discussion? Roll call.
Joe St. John,
Yes.
Tim Gose,
Yes.
Jason Castle.
Yes.
Cindy Cooper.
Yes.
David Martin.
Yes.
5 days.
Right. Mr. Parkinson, thank you very much.